Hey, it's Allison with Nurturing Readers. I want to share with you some of our newest in nonfiction that Usborne Books and More has to offer. So let's start with the babies. This is Baby's very first Slide and See Things That Go. So this is all about different vehicles and they get to slide and see the different ones. You can have some great conversations with your little ones about there's a train and see that it goes woo woo, you know. So this is a really fun new addition to our Slide and See series. All right, if your kid's learning how to count, here's a great new Poppy and Sam book called the Counting Book. And it's got these flexi pages, which are super great. Each page prompts you to count different things. So can you count the 3 cows? And there are 3 butterflies to spot 2. They get to learn how to count all the way up to number 10 and then get to count even more on the last page. So it's super fun, lots of opportunities for counting. Okay, if you're familiar with our How Big is Our Baby, this is the book that was really helpful for before a baby's born for you to kind of go through the different growth stages. Well, now we have a new one in the same series that's called Say Hello to Baby. So this is the guide for the new big brother or sister that kind of goes through the baby's first 18 months and they get to learn all the changes that are going to happen. So this is a great one that you should consider gifting to a new brother or sister who just had that change of a new sibling that arrived. Okay, if your kid's learning about letters, here's a new one, Finger Trail ABC Big Letters. So we already have lowercase letters, but now we have the Finger Trail Big Letters, so they get to learn their pre-writing skills by doing the finger trails. There's also great alliteration like Incredible Ice Cream or Jolly Juggling Jellyfish that they get to go through, and just tons of fun in these books. This is surely to be a hit. I love the layout of learning your ABCs in that fun way. All right, let's talk flap books. This is one of our newest Peek Inside books, Snowy Places. This is great for toddlers. It's got thicker flaps. This one's all about winter and the snowy places. I love this page where it talks about the different colors that animals are in the winter versus in the spring or summer. That's pretty cool. You can see their thick pages here too, so that's great. The toddlers won't be, if they're rough on them, they'll be okay. If you have kids that ask all the questions, we have flap books for that too. This is Lift the Flap, First Questions and Answers, Where Does Poop Go? Which is surely going to get your kids laughing, first of all, but it's going to answer all their curious questions too. This one's great for potty training, but it's going to talk about the sewer system and how that works. It's going to compare it to animals and do they have toilets? And no, the sloth, they actually spend their whole week in the trees and then come down once a week to poop. Who knew? You know, you'll probably learn things as well. So we love this new one. It's silly, it's fun, and it is one of those questions that kids ask. Also, we have other flap books for kids when they're older, like See Inside series. And flaps are good because they help kids retain information because they're interacting with the content. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't tried flap books, you need to. All right, here's another 2 new books in a series we have called That's a Job. So your kids can learn all about different jobs. This one's going to be all about art, and this one's going to be all about space. They get to learn all the ins and outs, like a flight surgeon, what do they do? Or a space center manager, or a science fiction author. You know, and so there's lots of really cool information in here, and your kids might be inspired to, you know, go for a job that they didn't even know existed. Okay, I was super excited about this book. This is the Book of the Brain and How It Works. This goes through the ins and outs of what does the brain look like, what are the different parts, what are neurons, how do those work, what about your emotions, how does that work with the brain, how do you make decisions, how does memory work. So much good information in this book. I was so excited. As a social worker, I learned a lot about the brain in school, and so that book as a new release definitely intrigued me, and it didn't disappoint for sure. Okay, here's some chapter books that are really great about some historical figures that are really inspiring. So we now have in this series, which is the Extraordinary Life series, Steve Jobs and Nelson Mandela, which are both great figures to learn about. And your kids will get to learn about their growing up and how they became famous and how they changed the world, and hopefully be inspired to do some pretty awesome things in their own lives after reading some of these books. Okay, We've got a great new book if you love words. This is 365 words. You could read one a day if you wanted, or read them all at once. But they're broken up into different categories. And so, like music time, some words there, or words of art, perfect prefixes. So all different words you can learn. This is great for us adults too. It's kind of a fun book with the different definitions. All right, last but not least, we have 100 things to know about the oceans. We love this series because it's kind of in a magazine format, so it's laid out really nicely. Kids who struggle with reading are going to be intrigued with the bite-sized information in this and just how it's laid out. So definitely check out this series. I love that we now have one to learn all about the oceans.